If there's something I've learned in my almost 8 years of being an entrepreneur, building my own business, one of the most valuable things I learned early on is this: a business exists to solve a problem. This is episode 4 of what's going to be 130 plus episodes because that's how many sleeps there are until Election Day, October 21st. And I want to come on here every day for a few minutes, live for 5 or less, but sometimes north of 5 minutes, to talk to you about what's on my mind, what I want to lay out in terms of a campaign platform, what the Greens are thinking, and ultimately the problems we want to solve together. Now, as I said, a business exists to solve a problem. And so when you're an entrepreneur, you better not be discouraged or afraid of problems, right? And I think about math, math problems. People who love math love to dive in and solve those problems. I have dabbled in rock climbing in my life. When you look up at a really high wall, a rock wall, or whether it's a climbing gym or a real rock wall, you call it a problem. And of course, climbers are like, let me at it. I want to solve the problem of the wall. Entrepreneuring is similar. You want to find out what people need, you want to solve that problem, then you bring it to market. Government, government is very similar. If we lived in a utopia, there might not be a need for any government at all, but government ultimately needs to, in a non-profit kind of way, bring services, and services ultimately are solutions to those problems. So I want to talk about, in the few minutes I have here, 3 left, Saint Croix 36. Our New Brunswick electoral district is called Saint Croix 36, and that includes, for those of you who don't know, that includes the village of Macadam, the town of St. Stephen, St. Andrews by the Sea, and Campobello Island, and Little Ridge, Old Little Ridge on one side, Pomeroy on the other, lots of smaller communities. And together, what we have in common, we are very different, but we are rural. We do not live in the city. Now, I love the cities. I love Fredericton. I love St. John. We go to the city, right? Those of us who live in this riding, we know I'm going to the city to buy this or that or get a little culture in some way here or there. But ultimately, our problems are rural. And so that means that, and this is one of the values of the Greens that I love, we need local rural solutions to those problems. One of the 5 things I want to work on when I'm your MLA is bringing a courthouse back to our riding. Recently, I looked up what was happening in 2015 when the Liberal government, that was the provincial government at the time, decided to close the courthouse and merge it with St. John. Now, if you look back at the news articles at that time, it's interesting because people were ringing the bell and saying, listen, victims and people who are charged, perpetrators, they cannot get to the courthouse. This is what was being said at the time. Lawyers and advocates were saying, wait a minute, if you close the local Charlotte County courthouse, they're not going to be able to get to St. John. This is a huge problem. Guess what happened? Guess what is exploding right now? It's a major problem to solve in 2024. Exactly what was said 9 years ago is becoming a huge problem. We need a local courthouse. That is an example of how somebody thought, okay, they were solving a problem at the time. I don't know if it was money. Nobody really seems to know, but there was a sense of closing the courthouse in our riding, St. Croix 36, will solve some sort of problem. Well, what that did, we're seeing 9 years later, is create a whole bunch of other problems. Now, I've talked about making good solutions with our counterparts. The Green Party have to work well, of course, with the Conservatives and the Liberals because, let's face it, we don't foresee ourselves being the majority, but that makes us expert in working together and advocating for the people in our riding. And so that's just one example of how, as your MLA, there needs to be more push. Now, it was a Liberal MLA in our riding at the time, and it was the gallant government that decided to do that. So, of course, there was no protest. A Green MLA is going to protest those kinds of things because we believe we need local solutions to our unique rural problems, which when you hear problem, don't think trouble, think okay, we got to solve this so we get the services we need. That's my 5 minutes, live for five or less. If you don't want to miss a video, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow me on my Facebook page, wherever you're watching this. I look forward to continuing to work with you. Tomorrow is Earth Fest. I should have said the day today. Tomorrow is June 15th. It is Earth Fest. I will be there on Minister's Island, enjoying that time with my fellow Greens. I hope to see you there if you're catching this live. If not, I'm going to be knocking on a door near you sometime soon. Thanks. Have a great weekend. And